able to find us again. So
Okay.
okay, okay, it's broadcasting. It's
Yay!
broad. Yay! All right, folks who are out there in the audience, I'm so sorry. I'm using to have Laura on today, a streaming software called Wave.video, but I'm using a free version and I forgot that it had a time limit.
But
And
you know what? It looks beautiful. It looks like really clear,
y-
really clear.
you
So
know
yeah.
it's uh it's a really nice piece of software. It's basically plug and play. There's not much you have to do in setup to look and sound good, apart from what you do in your project studio to make your stream look nice. But it does have some limitations even in the paid version, and so I'm still exploring other options, including uh
Maybe another one where you can put a frame or something around it, or
yeah, well, you can do that on Wave.video. It just has to be the premium version.
oh yeah.
And me being a little bit not a little bit frugal, a lot frugal, because I'm an artist, in the measure of society, with what I earn, I am poor. So no, but even if I wasn't poor,
Mhm.
um I would be very frugal and I would
No,
like
no,
to have
no. And I understand. And sometimes you don't need to spend that extra money to get what you want. I use Canva all the time to design my covers. And
right.
they have that canva.com, like to design covers and put your YouTube whatever posts or whatever. And they have asked me several times, that they send you messages. You want to upgrade? You want to upgrade? And I keep saying, oh no, I don't need it yet. I don't need it yet, and I still don't need it. And even in editing my book, I was using another one, and he asked me the same thing. Do you want to upgrade? I'm like, no, I don't need it yet. Because I
Right.
really felt that I don't need it. Now, sometimes you do need it for other things, but for now, like the way I am, I'm good with what I have.
Right.
And this
And
is
you know, with me, with the way that we budget, uh so that we can keep up our homestead, but also be able to engage in all the art projects we want to do. I make sure that I'm only paying for what I absolutely have to pay for. But the thing is, with freeware, like OBS and all of its plugins, you
yeah.
really do have to spend time to set it up. And right now I don't have, like, as I was saying, staying focused on one project at a time and setting up
Setting up.
OBS to have guests and have motion graphics with guests on and having good audio all around. And it takes a little, not a little bit, a lot of a setup. And a lot of the people that use OBS with all of its plugins to have multiple guests and things like that, those people usually have a YouTube team. They have producers who who
Oh
take
yeah.
care of the technology part. And right
Whole
now,
team of people. Yeah.
yeah, I am a team of one and sometimes
So
two. Yeah,
now I have to
Lawrence.
say it,
Yeah.
but yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
So
Okay, so what we were talking about, what were you saying before?
where did we leave off? I was looking at the chat and I saw that Peter had left a question. Peter, I don't know if you've been able to find us again, but if you do, here's, or if you're watching the replay, what is the music scene like in North Florida? Well,
Oh,
from what I've gathered, just going out to places, country western is big up here. The blues scene, from what I know, isn't big up here, which gives Lawrence and I kind of a niche because I've gotten into
mm.
blues music. Hey, Peter, he's here. You're back.
Ooh,
I've gotten
blue.
in. I've gotten into blues music because I got into building cigar box guitars, and yeah, it's a the name of the stream was about creating new work. Uh, what was the original title of our stream? I forgot it. It's about the
I
past
never know her.
inspiring our work. Yeah.
Like,
So cigar box guitars became a thing when Congress in this country passed a tax on cigars. They were having problems taxing individual sales of cigars, so they mandated that cigar manufacturers package they could only sell the cigars in boxes because in packaged cigars were easier to tax somehow. I don't know.
yeah,
And so now we had cigar manufacturers like, okay, how can we get this new expense to work for us? And they started using the cigar boxes as a way to advertise their products. By the way, I don't smoke. I'm not advocating for anyone to pick up smoking or anything like that. I'm just talking about the history
yeah,
of the
yeah,
art that work. And by the way, I'm not against anyone smoking cigars. Everything in moderation. It's like having a nice glass of wine
yeah.
on a holiday. You enjoy that wine, but as and we were talking about health and food, alcohol is a hormone disruptor. It's not something that you want to have every day,
Mhm.
but
Yeah,
it the
you have
same.
it every single day, just like if you have chips every
ex-
single day.
exactly. There's another drug that
Yeah,
nobody talks
Jesus
about.
every
Yeah.
single day. It's the same thing. So it's honoring the past with new creations was the title.
Yes, honoring the past with new creations. Exactly. So
Mm,
everything in moderation,
yeah.
and so that's my little aside there. But this tax law created the need for these beautiful boxes, um, and and this tradition has continued until today. And so in the past, in this country, having these new cedar boxes, these beautiful new cedar boxes floating around, people who couldn't afford to buy a guitar from a lutenist made their own with these relatively resonant cedar boxes, and that's how the cigar box guitar was born. It started, and um, at some point, here's another project. Oh, one of my lights went out. At some point, I want to produce a video, a documentary on the history of the cigar box guitar, how it came into being.
Ooh.
Um, yeah.
That's like a video. That's gonna be a movie. You
Oh,
can make
yeah.
that movie. Oh,
It's going to be a massive project, but I want to. And you can go to cigarboxnation.com or CB Giddy and get information on the history. And I'm sure people have produced videos. A friend, I wouldn't say a friend, but a colleague of mine on YouTube sent me his book on the history of the cigar box guitar. And what I want to do is amalgamate everything that I've learned and create a video, because it has such a rich history, and it had such an this instrument that people have forgotten in this country had a huge impact on music that was born in this country. Um, and so,
do you know?
incredible.
Do you know? Maybe you can tell us a little bit on how the cigar box guitar started.
Exactly. I really want to produce
Who's
that.
it?
And
What
so,
was it? Yeah.
so it was around the late 1800s when I think this tax law was passed and these boxes became available, and the poor of this country. Um, Laura, I think I lost your audio. Give
Can
me
you
a
hear
sound check.
me?
Oh, I could hear you. Okay,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
could
yeah.
hear you. Um, I thought I had lost you. Sorry.
I'm here.
And
I'm here.
and so the light bulbs went off. It's like, these are cedar boxes. These are resonant boxes. I could use this to create a makeshift guitar, and 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 even from the beginning, the variety of building methods and building styles uh, was enormous. So a huge variety of build styles, even in the beginning. And today, there's an enormously huge amount of build styles and build methods. And so, but it's interesting because I got into building. Well, I learned about them a few years ago, and I'm like, I want to build that. That is so cool. I
Mhm.
build your own instrument, and then as see what kind of I always told my students, the tools you use to compose affects your sound, and if you use the same tools as everybody else, you sound like everybody else.
Everybody
every
else.
Yeah, everybody is using the same plugins, the same synthesizers, and even in the production process, everyone's compressing and using these and these tools in the same way. What if you were to use something different, and something that ensures that you are using something different is if you build the tools for creating music yourself. And I got into making my own music production slash performance art software in Max MSP, and just making cigar box guitars is just an extension of me making my own musical tools. No one guitar of mine sounds the same. They all have different quirks, they all have different noises. When you process them, they all sound different. And even acoustically, they all sound different. And so it's just an extension of that philosophy that I have. Um, let's sound different. And a part of what helps you sound different is to use different tools from other people, create your own tools. And what's great about cigar box guitars, they're so simple to build. You can focus on the beauty of the instrument.
Oh,
It just, you got the basics down. Now you can focus on the aesthetics, and that's so many musicians discount what they bring on stage with them, or how they present themselves on stage. It's all part uh, of performance.
mhm.
What I mean, people go to a concert hall not just to hear stuff, but to see things on stage. Else, just pop a recording in the
Yeah.
in on your radio, on your CD player or your record player, and listen to things. And
That's one thing I noticed, that it's not just building the guitar and finding the right box and doing all the atonement and everything that you have to do here, like what you know and I don't know. But and for it to look beautiful, it's just to feel it. You have to feel the instrument, and how beautiful it is to feel the instrument that you built, the instrument that you made yourself, that you know, I'm going to add this and I'm going to make it pretty here. And you don't get to do that when you go to a store and just buy the guitar.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And
Yeah.
so Peter says, I would love to see that documentary. Peter, I would
Right.
love to
Thank you, Peter.
I would
Me too.
love to
Yeah.
produce it. I can't wait to work on that project. And but again, so many things that I have to finish first,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
order to get there, in order to have the luxury to work on that project. And so, but I do look forward. I have so many ideas for the documentary, and I can't wait to be able to engage in that project. Um, Peter says, I could not get the use of piezo in terms of adding color and personality to it till you explained it to us. Oh, I'm so honored by that, Peter. Thank you so much. Laura, just to explain the comment that Peter made. I use piezo pickups um, in my cigar box guitars, and that's the one that's inside of your guitar too.
Mhm.
And unlike magnetic pickups, which what's traditionally used on an electric guitar, is that the piezo pickups actually pick up, translate the physical vibrations um, that are happening in the box, in the neck, into electrical signals, uh, audio signals, which is the electrical translation of from vibration uh, to an electrical signal that's analogous to the vibration, and then your sound system converts it back into sound. Magnetic pickups don't do that. That's why you get such a clean sound from magnetic pickup. But why do you want clean? You want something with a unique why build a cigar box guitar unless you want the unique sound
Think
that
so.
that instrument is creating acoustically, and you could only get that from piezo pickups. And yeah, it's a dirty sound. It's sometimes an unwieldy sound. If you
Wow.
are and musicians may have a problem with that because they're used to working with beautifully crafted, pristinely
Yeah.
crafted instruments that create very clean sound. But again, I it's the composer in me. It's the experimental, rebel composer in me. I want to sound different. There's
Yeah.
no point in someone listening to me unless I'm different than what you hear on the radio.
Yeah.
Who am I? Why listen to me? Why look at what I build or what I do? Why come to my concerts if what I produce is what you're getting in the mass media? It makes no sense. So
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know what your thoughts about that are, but
Absolutely. I agree with you.
I mean,
110%.
I
You should not be like everybody else. And that's what is the beautiful thing about creatives, that this is who I am. And that's why in my head I tell my students and everybody there's no competition. Because what you have here and
yes,
here, just don't think, oh my God, like sometimes I was talking to a couple of writers yesterday and saying, I have to make sure that they don't write my piece. I shared a little bit of my poems, but I want to make sure that nobody, like, what you have inside of you, nobody can get. So
yes,
that thing that I learned in journalism with plagiarism and be careful, because if you copy somebody else and if they copy you and it's like it's whatever is inside of you, it's inside of you and will go with you until you die. That's the way I
right.
think. So I'm not afraid of creating and sharing with others my creation. So what I write, or in your case what you build,
You
because
have no competition. Laura, a teacher of mine as an undergrad tried to tell me that. It's like, Liza, why are you so worried about this and this and this and this?
yeah.
You you shouldn't be competing with anybody. You have no competition. And I didn't understand what he was saying because I was in academia, and in order to by the way, guys, if you don't know, my degree is in music composition, and to get a degree in music composition, get cred as a teacher later, because I wanted to teach composition, I wanted to be in academia, because I thought that academia would give me the freedom to compose whatever I want whenever I want to go as crazy. That's not the case, but um, that's not the case, people. But in
But I've
any
been
case,
learning life.
I thought academia was the best patron for the lifestyle I wanted, and it is not the case. Anyway, going beyond that, um, this teacher tried to tell me, it's like, who are you competing against and why? And I didn't understand him because I'm like, what do you mean? Who am I competing with? I have to win this competition or this to get cred, to put this on my CV, to I have to win this grant so people respect me in these circles and these circles, so that I could maybe get a full-time job at a school and maybe get tenure one day. And yet, because tenure is what is how people know that you are respected as an artist. Um,
But tenure is also the limit. And I want no
right,
limits in my life. I want no
right,
limits. I want no limits. So
right. So it, and then I remember I was sitting in a composition forum and uh and a friend of mine, and I will never forget this, I felt so bad afterward. A friend of mine was trying to make a point in, because we were having a group discussion as a class, and he goes, you know, all of this competition stuff, this I don't understand why this is a part. He said something on the lines, why are we competing? That it's not, you know, this shouldn't be a competitive field. And I literally laughed in his face, literally. And I'm like, "What do you mean? This is the name of the game, is competition." And it wasn't until now, years later, that I did apologize to him because I saw that I was being
you were
nasty.
thinking of ABBA. It's the name of the game. That's what you were thinking. The ABBA song.
Yes, yes.
The
And
name of
so,
the game. No.
but it's like, I under now, after many trials and tribulations and change of path and change of philosophy,
Mhm.
change of lifestyle, I realized what those two people were trying to say. And yeah, yeah. Anyway, anyway, and it's so interesting that you brought that back in almost the same exact words that they said. It's like, who are you competing against? This is not a competition. Being an artist is not a competition. You're not competing against anyone. You are so, if you allow yourself to be the individual that you are, you have no competition. There's room for you. And so,
If anything, you're competing with yourself. If
yes,
anything, you want to do better the next time than what you did the first time.
exactly.
You
And
won't down
that's
to
the
everything. Yeah.
that should be the only valid competition
Yeah.
that you have as an artist. Are you better than than you were, you know, a year ago, 2 years ago? Um,
And
that's what's important.
sometimes you're not better because you don't know. And remember that
Right.
you don't know what you don't know. So sometimes you're not
Exactly.
better because you don't know. But once you know, then you can look back and say, okay, now that I have these tools, let me incorporate them into my creative process, and let's put them in there, and let's make it even better for yourself first, for your creativity and all that, not for others.
Right. Exactly right. And it's hard to let go of that programming, though. Let
It
me
is.
tell you, because it's
Sure.
ingrained to you from school at a very young age, and then it continues on to and and in the process itself, even as a person who went to school to refine an art, to get a degree that said you are an expert in this art, there's the desire to create is is taken out of you in the process of getting this paper that says you are an expert in this art.
Right.
And
This
yeah,
paper or these grades, like I told my students,
paper grade,
hey,
yeah,
you have to get a B. No, you have to get your thing going. You have to do it right, and you have to focus only on your creativity. And if you get an A, great, wonderful. But if you get a B or a C, just don't let it be the end of the world. So it's
right,
not just that. That in school is true. We learn to, oh my God, the teacher expects this, and then the work, and then other people, and then what about you and what you have inside?
right, right. And Peter says in the comments, problem is that you have to go through some competition to get some recognition, like in a piano competition. That's correct, Peter.
Mhm.
That's true.
Yeah.
And if you want a career, as I had, in academia, you you better get some competition and some grants under your belt. But the thing is, those accolades, seeking those accolades, um, I mean, you learn in life from different things, but I found those accolades don't make you better as an artist.
Mhm.
Um, and
Yeah.
and they your life doesn't become about being an authentic artist. It becomes about who do I need, what do I need to make, who do I need to
To be
please
better than the other one.
to
Yeah.
be to get this
Yeah.
next job or get this next grant or get, and your authentic voice gets taken out of the mix
Mhm.
slowly. It dies over time.
Mhm.
And uh and so I'm glad to have escaped academia, and
Mhm.
I'm trying to become, my husband and I were both trying to become uh income self-sufficient as artists, actually make a living from
Mhm.
what we want to create:
Mhm.
YouTube videos, cigar box guitars, performances.
Music
We
performance.
will, yeah, we want our authentic creativity to be, and you don't need a degree for that. You don't need to win piano competitions for that. You don't need to be a virtuoso player to uh create, and I've seen it. There, the creator economy is a real thing. There are artists out there, degreeless, not even experts at the but they have something unique to contribute in the realm of art that they create, and they're making a living on YouTube, and they're making a living creating and building things. You don't need a degree, and you don't need uh to win competitions to to
Mhm.
to achieve that. And so that's what's great about the internet and YouTube, with all of its flaws and all of the crazy things that can happen on the internet.
Mhm.
It has been a blessing to artists. And the only thing, the thing is, we don't even have to cater to a certain artist. Excuse me, we don't even have to cater to certain audiences. People that like what I'm doing gravitate to my channel. And so I'm just building an audience like you out of people who appreciate what I'm already doing. And so
Mhm.
that's just a food for thought.
Yeah, no, no, I agree with what you're saying, and I also tell my daughters that it is okay. By the same token, same the same thing. It is okay to experience a little bit of what that competition is about, so that you can be where we are right now. So you can have that on your in backbone and say, okay, I had that experience, being there, done that, thank you. It was, I needed it to do it at that time. Win this piano competition. I remember my daughter, she was like 5 years old, she was playing the piano and they were fighting for a trophy. Who's going to play the piano better? I remember back then. And I said, you do your best, you got to do your best, and you have to be better. And nowadays, I would have told her, just enjoy your moment, because she was so stressed just by sitting there in that audience and playing that piano at 5 years old. And yeah, she won the degree, the trophy and all that. But she wasn't the only one. Like 3 or 4 more kids also won a trophy, because they said that they had to give a trophy to other children as well. Even if they didn't do that well. So you have to
Right.
deal with a lot of things, but in the end, go through that experience so you can talk about it like us, and then say, being there.
Very true. Been there, done that. I guess, yeah,
Yeah.
I guess I wouldn't have arrived at the perspective that I have now unless I've
Oh,
gone through the ringer of
yeah.
doing the competitions, of winning the grants, and finding out that ultimately it's all meaningless,
Yeah.
and that you know if you're pursuing the lifestyle that I'm trying to pursue, in that your art is your life, and it's not just a means to getting a promotion somewhere. Um,
Mhm.
it I really did have to go through the ringer to come to that realization. So
Yeah,
yeah. So all the experiences were valid for sure.
all the
For
experience.
sure.
In
Yeah.
fact, you have those experiences, it's even better because it'll bring you to what we are right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly right.
Absolutely.
And so I think I'm talked out, Laura.
Oh, we're never talked out.
Oh, I mean, we've gone into so many rabbit holes in our conversations,
Yeah.
and I think every single conversation we had, I've always said, I wish we recorded this. I wish we can share this with our audience because
Yeah,
there's
I saw
so
that.
much to talk about here. So
Okay, so maybe we can just leave it for another day. How about that?
we shall.
Sure.
Well, let me just see if the chat has any questions or any contributions. Oh, welcome, Peter. Oh, Peter, thank you so much for your contributions. Crosshatch, welcome. Um, and so, um, okay. Oh, Peter Pepper, his last comment. But it's not only about the money. As a musician, you want to move forward from playing solo to play with an orchestra. The system is like that. Only by winning competition you get a chance. That's true. That's true. And again, I've I found that I wouldn't have reached the realizations that I've made here without going through the ringer.
Yeah.
But the thing is, why is it the ultimate, say you're a violinist, why is it the ultimate um goal to play for an orchestra?
Mhm.
Why should that be the there's so much more out there that
Mhm.
you can do as an artist, as a violinist.
Mhm.
um i guess I guess nowadays, with social media, the biggest cred you can get is to grow an audience around your work and see how many people appreciate your work. um uh there's there's life beyond the orchestra. There's life beyond the system,
Mhm.
is what I'm saying. You
Yeah.
don't have to operate within the system to be a successful artist.
Yeah.
That's ultimately what and if you like the system, and fine. I found it very hard to deal with.
Mhm.
The nature of it, the personalities within it, um and
Yeah, I remember the violin teacher from one for my daughters. She was very young. She played in an orchestra. She was climbing up the ladder. She was teaching my daughters violin. Beautiful player, but at the same time, she would tell me all the time. Now I have to go back there. I'm like, isn't that what you like to do? Yeah, but I have to deal with this and that and that and that. She was young. Years later, she said like what I'm telling you now. Okay, I did what I had to do, been there, done that. I'm
been
glad,
there, done
but
that.
now it's time to move on.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's there's a friend of mine who says, you know what, I've paid my dues, now I'm gonna do whatever I want. And I
Yeah.
guess
Yeah.
the system is good to show you, I guess, what you don't want.
Yeah.
You've
Or
paid
just
your dues, you've learned, now
yeah.
you can move on and do your own thing.
Or to
So
make you happy at the time that it works for you, and then there comes a time in life, 2 years later, 5, 10, 20 years later, that you say, that's it, because now I have all of these ideas that I can pursue and move forward. So yeah.
Peter Pepper, good comments. He says, I don't like the system, but I like Brahms' Violin Concerto in D major. How can a violin play that with no orchestra? Oh, Peter, we're
That's
getting into the
your
question of um, sampled orchestras and maybe AI orchestras. There's some, and I'm not advocating for replacing human ensembles, not at all. So coming from someone who's building a percussion robot, but I don't advocate for that. But it, there, the technologies out there is like, well, if you can't get if you can experience playing with playing the violin concerto in D major with an orchestra, maybe you can play it with something else. But the thing is, um, I mean, there are cultural organizations that will keep the orchestra alive, but those positions for will be very coveted and very limited, and there will be many, many violinists that go out there without the experience of how of playing that. But there, what I'm saying is, there are other experiences out there now that with how many orchestras are left and how many wonderful musicians are out there, it shouldn't be a mark of, okay, you're a failure because you didn't get into an orchestra. I mean, orchestras are I mean, they're expensive to maintain. Only big municipalities can have them, and a lot of talented musicians go without the experience of playing for an orchestra, and they're super uberly talented people, and we should
There's
give
a
them.
lot of talent. There's a
There's
lot of
a
but
there's a
yeah.
lot of talent and not enough work for that talent. So I wouldn't judge a violinist just because they weren't able to get into an orchestra to do that. And so, but again, there are other places um where they can exhibit their virtuosity. Maybe
Mhm,
they'll start a string quartet.
mhm.
Maybe they'll start an ensemble that incorporates electronics with traditional instruments. When that's where I'm at. When I was composing electronic operas, it was all about combining traditional instruments and processed in real time uh, with uh, live a live with lighting and projection mapping that reacted to what was being played in real time, creating immersive performance environments. That's what I was into. I want to get into that again. Again, one project at a time. I got to finish
One at a time, one at a
one
time.
at a time. I'm getting ahead of myself again, but it's like,
But it will happen all the time. But as long as you go back and say, yes, I will do that, but I'm going to finish this now. So, yeah.
right. I agree with what you say, Peter. Peter says, I think if we make all the music by ourselves with no other players, just by the use of technology, then it becomes too egocentric. I agree with that. I agree with that. But I'm saying you don't have to play in a huge ensemble like an orchestra where there are limited opportunities for musicians to play for orchestras, but musicians could start their own small ensembles. Um, and so
And it'll be
and
amazing.
there's plenty of beautiful, great. In fact, let's take string quartet for example. I mean, you can show off more virtuosity in a string quartet than maybe even in a concerto if you know the repertoire. Um, and me personally, I've been more of a chamber music person, more intimate uh, uh, venues where you and the musician are right there and they're feeling your energy and you're feeling theirs, and there's a cross pollination between the musician and the audience. Those for me were the most enjoyable performances were the small ensembles, and anyone can start their own small ensemble. Anyone can go out there if you're entrepreneurial. I was like, okay, this orchestra can't hire you. There's no room for you there. But start your own thing and grow your own audience. You don't need you don't need that cred to, first of all, make a living as an artist, or to gain credibility as an artist, because now you have these social media platforms that just open things up for you.
So
So
that's going to be another something to add to your list for next year, because you can create a course teaching people how to do that.
I would love to just have, yeah, a playlist
Want
on.
that one to do something like that, and you can do it, and teach them how to do their own thing.
I would love to continue to help uh musicians, but again, I'm still myself trying to figure out the entrepreneurial part of being an artist. And so
Self-sufficient. Yeah.
once I have the secret sauce, the formula, once I have a way to say this is what I did, and this is, and I don't have to work for anyone else. Right now, I do work part-time elsewhere to pay the bills. Um, but I've given up on trying to grow my career um, as a teacher, as an academic, as a formal. I mean, I'm here teaching on YouTube, but I'm talking about as in a formal institution,
Formal. Yeah.
because you know that track that tracks takes you a certain it takes you to a certain area, and you never gain that independence. You'll always be um, engaging in projects that you think will help you grow in that field, in that institution. And there's something, I mean, I've always tried to compose honestly, and create honest composition, but it was always in the back of my head, will this project give me more cred in this institution, and this and this. And let me tell you,
Yeah.
if you build your career, I mean, here's the thing, I don't have a career mindset anymore. I've let go of that. um, because your career can end from one day to the next. You know, you work for a company for I don't know how many years, and you're comfortable in it. You don't maintain your expansive contacts to be able to switcheroo and move to different places. And that institution closes, and your career is over.
The only
And
thing that does not, that you have to remember and think about, that the only thing that does not close is you. Your
exactly.
creativity, what you have inside, what you have to give, what you have to create and share with others. That is the only thing that will always be there.
Right, exactly right. But in order for, I guess, for you, it was important for me, and you helped me do this, Laura. You're such a good coach. Oh my gosh. You helped me do this. Let go of the career mindset.
Mhm.
Who's going to care um that, in the grand scheme of things, that I became a tenured professor somewhere, um, teaching music composition and theory and yada 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 accolades. Who's gonna care? it I've nobody, in the grand scheme of things, nobody's gonna care. And so it's let go of that. Let go of the seeking the accolades thing, and you know find. I and it's hard to let go of that programming, to
But you
become
know what,
free of
like,
that programming.
when you let go of that, then it'll come back in a different way. Because maybe when they see you, have you what you have been able to do as an entrepreneur, what you have been able to create, and how you continue to do things for your students, or for the people that you share your creativity with, then they'll be calling you and say, would you want to come and maybe teach a class on this or in that? It would not be the career approach anymore, but it'll be the Liza approach, your own approach. Because I love teaching. And even
Me
though
too.
I am not at a university right now, I miss that. When I'm with my students that I tutor and all, I miss that. And my students text me all the time. They continue to through Instagram or Facebook. Oh, teacher, this and that. They call me teacher, professor, and I'm like, oh, Laura, and I miss that. But I am happy and I'm glad that I am where I am. And if I need to go to a university and teach a course or something for a period of time, a short period of time, I'll be happy to do that, but I'll still be me.
It still be you.
Makes sense?
It does make sense. You saying that, I think I've become a better teacher, that I've let go of being formally having the title of professor.
Yeah.
I'm a better teacher now than I was when I had the formal title of professor, because you had to operate in a certain way that for me was inauthentic, um, with students, for example. And here online, I could just let go of that, I guess, that hierarchy, and it's like, you know what I like to do?
Yeah.
I like to come on and share what I know,
Mhm.
and share ideas. Me and my students, they would give me, like with your students, hey miss, why don't you try this, why don't you
Yeah.
try that, and it's like, okay. And I'm like, oh, you know how you could solve that problem for that installation you're building? And it's like, oh, there's a cross pollination that happens. It's not just me giving and
Yeah.
me up here and them down here.
Right. Right.
I liked to treat my students as equals. We are both artists. I'm just a little older than you. That's it. And them being younger and I've learned about new technologies from my students,
Yeah.
new
Too.
production processes. I've learned so much from my students. It's also, it's weird for me. It was weird for me and still is weird for me to call them my students, because I've learned so much from them as well.
Yeah, you
And
don't
so,
call your students because you are the professor and you feel that they are just the students. I call them my students, like I call my daughters, like I call my children, like I call even my parents who teach me, who have taught me, because my students, like I always say, guys, I have learned from you too. I started Instagram, what, 15 years ago, or whatever time since we met, because of my students. I knew it existed,
right.
but I didn't know about Instagram.
Me too.
Of
Me
it.
too. The same thing.
So I
It's
remember one of
crazy.
my students told me, "You are teaching social media and writing, and you don't know about Instagram, teacher." And I'm like, "No."
No. It's like, oh my god. Yeah. It.
Yeah,
Man. They.
and I was so glad for her. I'm never gonna forget her. I'm never gonna forget. She was so honest to tell me that, and I'm like, okay, I have two choices here: to say, "Oh yeah, I know about that," or say, "Oh, teach me because I don't know anything." So I went down.
Right.
I would teach me because I don't know anything
You
about.
know, the best teachers are humble people that
Yeah,
are open to learning from their students.
yeah.
And for example, I've learned so much from my audience here on YouTube. Guys, I when you go into my YouTube channel and you see my oh gosh, the channel trailer. Yeah, I still keep my little title in front of my name, Dr. Liza Sahil. It's like, well,
Because
it's
you should be proud of your title, Liza.
I'm
You have.
yes, but it's not meant I I mean, I spent so many years of my life trying to get that accolade, so I'm using it.
Yeah.
And maybe it invites people to come into my channel. It's like, oh, this one has a degree in music composition. Oh, maybe I could learn a little something about that here and there. But
Yeah.
it was never a hierarchy thing to
No, no.
put it out on my channel.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more of a way to, so that people give me a chance when they come onto my channel. And it's like, look, I've been through the ringer. I got stuff that I
Yeah.
can share. But
And
I've learned so much from my audience about playing slide guitar,
mhm.
about audio electronics, about so many things. And oh, Peter has a comment. Um Peter, you're on fire, Peter. Thanks. What I would like to see is the workshop becoming a hub of music, a living thing with the community around you and you transforming the teaching to a vibe that drives that hub. Oh, Peter, I would be honored to create uh, something meaningful like that. And again, so many projects to pursue.
So many projects that we will pursue, but at, one
Right,
first, then the other, and then the other. Yeah.
right. Trick or treat.
Trick or
So
treat.
trick
What's
or treat.
today?
Yes, yes. So it's like, Laura, this has been an immensely beautiful conversation, and I hope you guys out there watching now and in the replay get some value out of it. Uh, those are considering new life paths as an artist. Hope this is a encouraging for you to see
Yeah.
that there isn't just one. The prescribed path isn't the only way. There are other ways,
There's so
and
many
so
things. There's music, there's art, there is writing, there's so many things to explore. And
right.
also at the same time, it's not like I'm already this, I cannot be that.
Right, right. There's a big movement towards generalization.
Yeah,
Why do
doing
we
one thing more than
Yes.
yeah. Yeah.
Why do we have to specialize in this art, in that art? If you are creative,
Oh,
I mean, it was natural for me to get into video art as a composer. Started off as a composer and then got into video art, got into interactive installations, got into building cigar box guitars, got into this.
yeah.
Why?
There
There's nothing wrong with being a generalist. Nothing
there's
wrong.
there's nothing wrong. And like when I tell people, like, I don't know if you remember this or if you know this, but I started with engineering, aerospace engineering. That was my
Yes,
first degree. And I was doing a double major of aerospace engineering and Spanish literature. So I remember
incredible.
ever since then, I was 17 years old when I started college, and they used to tell me, you have to make up your mind, because for your future and your career, what do you want to do? You want to do mathematics or you want to do writing? And I always said, in my the innocence of a 17-year-old, why? But I like both, like a little girl. I like both. Why do I have to pick one candy over the other? If
Right.
is everything is beautiful. And to this day, I still like both. I like my writing, and I like anything that you introduce me to in the artistic realm, and I still love physics and anything that has to do with mathematics. So why do you have to pick a specific thing? And so that's what I also tell my students. You want to be a musician, you want to be a writer, you want to be both at the same time. Well, be, just be. And of course, you have to give it time to what it deserves. Like
Of
now,
course.
that's the thing, the only thing, because we are human beings after all. So
And that's the focus part.
yeah,
One project at a time, get that done as m- best as you can. Get the most out of that project, achieve the most you can with that project. Um, Focus on it, but and then move on to the next thing, so that you build up your um your palette of creation,
of
you know?
creation. Yeah,
And
it's
so
like my Spanish here, the
yeah,
palette of creation.
exactly. Guys, I want if you um if you're if you're learning Spanish and you want an incredible read, please do check out Laura's Pasión de Vida. In the video description box, I have a link to Laura's YouTube channel, and her YouTube channel has a link to her website, and you can get a can you order a copy of Pasión de Vida
You
from
can
your
go
website?
now. That I think I'm gonna check when I leave you here, because I think that the English version is also uploaded. I think so. You can get
Oh,
it
okay.
on Amazon,
Okay.
either English or Spanish, either one. So I hope you like it, and I hope you enjoy it. And then let us know what you think about it, or how can we can improve it, or for part two, what we can do. Maybe
Right.
we can.
I'm personally reading it in Spanish, although for me, again, Spanish isn't my primary language anymore. It was when I was 5 years old. Not anymore. And so I'm practicing my Spanish reading Laura's Pasión en Vida de Vida in the original, in the language it was originally written in.
Written,
So
yeah.
if you're a student of Castellano, please read her Spanish
In
version.
Spanish.
It
Yeah.
is good practice, and you also get some insights into
My
the
culture.
Cuban and Colombian culture because that is your background,
Yeah.
right?
The Spanish, Cuban, Colombian. Yeah, for
In
sure.
the original tongue. And but if you just want a good read,
And
you
good
know,
recipes, then
I
the English version is
the
fine as well.
English, there you go. So whatever your jam is, Laura's got you covered. But please go to her channel in the video description box,
I'll send
and
you the link so you can, the link that they have now with both English and Spanish. So you can add it in there for viewers there. And don't
yeah.
forget, when you're ready again, Liza's gonna start building guitars again. You
Yes, yes, I can't wait. Again, gotta get that workshop together.
Oh
And
my
then
god.
I'm gonna throw myself again. The first thing maybe I shouldn't, but the first thing I want to build is that leg fiddle that's in my head. I got the design, I can get it going, and then I'll start uh creating guitars again. And oh Laura, I wish I had more of those Amor boxes. They are so beautiful. My goodness
Yeah. How
gracious.
did you get this one? This is La Aroma de Cuba.
Aroma de Cuba.
Like the smell of Cuba.
Well, the smell of Cuba, the aroma of
Is what it
Cuba.
says here.
And
Yeah.
so that
Yeah.
box, I get most of my boxes donated to me by a local cigar shop, and rather than spend money to keep things in storage, every time I go, there's like, "Hey, you want boxes?" I'm like, "Yes, please give me boxes." But the Aroma de Cuba didn't come from them. My cousin many years ago used to build cigar box guitars, and he had a stash of boxes, and that was the only one in
Oh
his
my
stash that he gifted to me.
So
And
this is like a unique thing that I have.
you have a very, very unique CBG, Laura. I have not been able to get my hands on the Aroma de Cuba
El
box.
Bolero. El
Yeah.
Bolero.
Yeah. And so it's you got a unique piece there, and but I would love to get my hands on another one of those to
Oh.
build another beautiful bolero.
Do you
So
know who makes them? Do you know what cigar company works with them or not anymore? Or they don't have.
I think Aroma de Cuba is still, they're still functioning. They were a company. I looked them up because their boxes are so beautiful,
Yeah, yeah.
and they were established in the 19th century. And the designs you see on their boxes today are the ones that they used in the 19th century, so they kept up the tradition
Oh,
of using the same art that they used in the early days of the company. Now the company's not based in Cuba anymore. I think it's currently in Nicaragua for the obvious reasons. Pero
yeah.
yeah.
Huh.
So
Okay.
yeah, yeah, beautiful art on those boxes. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful, amazing. So romantic.
What yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful way to upcycle the
Yeah.
cigar box guitars. You
I
take these.
love the woman, the painting of the, it looks like a museum, they paint
Yes.
a woman here. And
Yeah.
oh my God, it's just incredible. Yeah.
Gorgeous, gorgeous art.
Thank you so much, guys, for being there, for watching the replay later, and thank you, Liza, for having me. It was so much fun. On
Laura, this was a beautiful conversation, and for those of you guys who want to have more fun live streaming, not live streaming, but who want to have more fun on YouTube on Halloween, my husband Lawrence, who has a channel called the Wayfarer Project, will have a fun Halloween stream later this evening. I think it starts at 7 p.m. Eastern time,
time.
and he'll be on with the great Mike Gorley, who's an incredible guitarist,
Oh,
sitarist, and dutar player, and they'll be They'll be ghost hunting with a short wave radio and playing some of their scarier musical compositions.
Oh,
So,
fun. Oh, I'm sure my husband is gonna love that. I'm gonna
oh
tell him.
yeah, we'd love to see you in the chat, Laura. I will, of course, will be in the chat,
Okay.
and so
Nice.
um,
Say hi to Lawrence for me. Give him a big kiss.
I will absolutely do that. Well, guys, I'm going to log off. Uh, Thank you for being here this afternoon. This